champions, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Without further ado, the pugilist specialist, the Lion, Double L, Lennox Lewis. Welcome to ATG Radio. Thank you, champ, for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Boy, you should be an announcer, man. That's great. That's great.
Only if you come back. Only if you come back, Lennox. I'll come. You make a comeback. You got it. One of the stipulations in the contract. Get Frank Stay as your special guest ring announcer, and that's how we'll do it. I think that's the only way.
Let me tell you, I would win after that. That sounded so positive. I would have to win.
Yeah, that wouldn't look good. You can't lose after those kind of words, man. Nobody could.
No, imagine that. I just go out and all of a sudden get knocked out, and it's like, oh man, you killed that guy. I'm so sad. Wow.
Hey, it's like that guy. What's that guy's name, Frank? He had that big, like that Prince Nassim Hamed entrance in the UK. It was like, I mean, there was lights and there was fireworks and everything, and then he gets knocked out in like 20 seconds.
Uzi,
yeah.
Ahmed. Uzi, yeah, I remember that. But that would be one of those situations. But no, Lennox, I want to introduce you to my co-hosts that are on the line right now. They're going to take over. I just needed to give you the introduction. The host of ATG Radio, Mr. Michael Dawes. One of the greatest trainers in the game today, Mr. Andre Rozier. And former super middleweight title challenger, Mr. Ruben Hollywood Williams.
Yeah, Marquand.
Yo.
well, Lennox, like I said, like Frank was saying, I'm not going to give all the words that Frank was because I'm not as talented as Frank is in that aspect. But what I am going to do, I was going to ask you the first questions. I got a lot for you. You know, like I said, you're one of my favorite fighters also. But Andre Rozier, out of respect, I want to give you the first questions for Mr. Lennox Lewis. Andre, go ahead.
Len, my dear brother, how is it? It's so
What's
good
happening?
to hear your voice again. Yes.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going straight to the core with the heavyweight division, and I'm going to ask you this question. You know, we go way back, and you favorite not just because you are that guy, but you've been one of my favorite fighters a long time. And
thank you.
I just want to know who, in your opinion, would win this fight, Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder? Please tell me.
Let me tell you, I think it'll be a good fight. I think, when it comes to Deontay, he says he doesn't want to fight no peasants, but I would take the money. I'll take the money. Plus, I would go over there and knock out Dylan White, like in a couple of rounds, just to show how easy it is to do that. And, Anthony Joshua took like 7 rounds, plus he got knocked by Dylan White. So even just to show the comparison. And then that actually brings up his money aspect. It gives him more money because people start being more interested in the fight. So the question is, who would win? I think it'll be a great fight. I thought Deontay showed good killer instinct, although one shot was behind the head, and I think he was a little concussed and couldn't really gain his vision again. So, I was actually surprised that, the fight was so short. I was saying Severn had a lot of time to train, had a lot of time to look at the fight, the previous fight between both of them, and to make some adjustments and come into the fight. And, there was a situation about his weight. He felt like he came in too light the first fight, and this fight he came in heavy. I mean, heavy. He was heavy, but to move that head. He needs to move that head. I don't know. This is the problem because you got a lot of boxers. They fight this heavy bag, and they don't move their head because the bag's not punching back. That's the problem.
Right. They
gotta move their head. But it'll be a good fight. Good fight. I don't know what country it'll be in. It should be in a neutral country like Canada or something. And then all the surrounding different fans can come to the country. But I would say the first one to land that big right hand, and they're both big punchers. So it could go either way. It's really down to the first one's accuracy. So whoever punches with the greatest of accuracies and is able to hit that chin, they will change history.
Wow.
That's well, let me ask you this. Apparently Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua both right now, in his career, they think that he doesn't really need to go to the States. You're a fighter that, you were big in the UK, but you also conquered the United States too, and that's what really, in my opinion, solidified your legacy. But they're saying right now that they don't need the U.S. because they're filling 90,000 people in a stadium. They want to just be basically UK fighters. Do you think that's a mistake, and why, if you do?
Well, you know what? I don't think it's a mistake because, for me, when I was coming up, where did I have to go to get the glory? I had to come to America. I had to come into Tyson's backyard. I had to come into everybody's backyard. And, they're right. They've got the crown. Why should they risk crossing the ocean and risk the crown right now? It's better the fact of if you want the crown, you better go get it. Because if the crown is in England and I was still fighting, I would have to go get it, just like I did in America.
A lot of people said that Anthony Joshua, of course, when you think of Anthony Joshua, a lot of people think of Lennox Lewis. I do. I mean, it seems like he is coming up like a young Lennox Lewis. There are some differences, but what are your thoughts about him being compared to you? And do you think that being honest, Lennox? I mean, you're an honest guy. You're a stand-up guy. Do you think that Anthony Joshua can ever, solidify his legacy as higher than yours? Do you ever think he can go beyond what you've accomplished?
Hell no.
Let me tell you, that's a great question. And, fans that used to come to my fights, and they used to travel, from England, from all different parts, Liverpool, Nottingham, East London, and they used to sing this song. It said, "There's only one Lennox Lewis. There's only one Lennox Lewis. Singing a song, walking in the Lewis Wonderland."
Love it, man. Love it, Jim. I think I got my answer.
Lewis singing now.
Well, I got another question for you. I know that Lennox, it's been a long time since you fought. I think there was rumblings before that you possibly would come back. I don't know if it was true, if it was just rumors. Is there anything ever that would make you at least one time want to get back in the ring against anybody? Do you think you would ever do that? Is there an amount of money out there that could ever get you back in the ring? Just for people to see it, not against maybe the top guys.
Let me tell you, I've been watching a lot of these shows. I have a little time on my hands, so I'm watching a couple of these shows during the day, and I'm seeing people, do all kinds of things for money. But you're right. I don't think there's anything. I don't think you need to come back. I don't think you need to risk your health. Not saying that anything's wrong with my health, but there's things I used to do when I was 20. I can't do them anymore. So there's younger guys out there, So it's really up to them to pave the way. I've had my glories and I've set my records and goals. It's up to somebody else to beat them and set their goals as well.
Okay, Lennox, be honest. What was the closest that you came to making a comeback? I know something happened before that you considered it strongly after you retired.
Yeah, that was a great question. I was doing some commentating for HBO, and I actually thought HBO was trying to trick me to come back because, I would go to these fights and see these heavyweights and at this age I can come in the ring and get back in there and beat these guys. But,
okay.
I every time I talk to myself into it, I talk to myself out of it.
Oh, okay. So was it one time in particular that you really was considering it and you told yourself yes and you even went to the gym and started working out and you cut it back off? Did that ever happen?
No, you know why it didn't happen? Because I stopped working out. I started playing other sports, table tennis, basketball.
Okay.
Because I found out every time I was training, like even just to keep in shape, it's like I was training for a fight. I'm like, why am I training for a fight and I'm retired? So it's like my whole psyche was always, anytime I'm training for a fight. So I kind of stopped training because I felt like I was training for a fight. It's a weird dilemma.
Okay. Now listen, I got a question for you. Now, me personally, I consider you one of the greatest heavyweight champions ever. Now,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I always ask everyone this question about eras, about the era.
Oh, jeez.
Do you
the
feel
boxing Hollywood question?
Right.
Come on, let me hear it.
Okay. Do you feel the fighters today are getting worse than before, or getting better, or do you compare them by era? As far as, like, for instance, your legacy, do you think you beat a great crop of heavyweights, or were they just not good for the era?
Ruben, he just sung a song for you that answered the question.
Oh, Ruben, let me tell you. Every era is different. I felt that my era was filled with, obviously, me, Mike Tyson, Holyfield, Riddick Bowe. There's like a lot of different heavyweights that filled my era, and that was my era. Now, everybody's always asking me, how would you do against Muhammad Ali? Well, Muhammad Ali's my hero. Why would I want to think of myself fighting him? I would want to. I come after him. I'm coming from his school, and the people that are boxing now, they're coming from my school, Tyson school.
Right.
So they're taking some. I took something from Muhammad and Foreman, and they're taking something from me and Tyson and different boxers that they want to take something from. So at the end of the day, I don't believe in crossing eras, because we all come from our heroes. Something made us go into boxing. Something we seen that boxing, we say, hey, I want to be like that boxer. And then when you start boxing, you see another boxer, hey, I like that move. I want to do that jab like LENNOX LEWIS. So and then you turn into your own boxer, and then somebody else sees you, and the cycle continues.
Okay, you know what? That's the best. That's the best answer I've gotten when I ask that question to fighters. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully you'll never ask that question again, Ruben. I'm playing.
Yes, I am. Hey, did y'all remember when we had who was the guy on here yesterday, and he was talking about how terrible boxing is today, and he would beat Deontay Wilder, the 71-year-old guy.
It was Ray Mancini's brother. He was like 84 years old. I mean, he's like,
don't waste that. Listen, Ruben, don't waste that with Lennox. Don't waste that.
Listen, you guys. I got to ask you guys a question. The Deontay fight, what did you think of it?
He did what he was supposed to do, Lennox. He did. He exceeded, in my opinion, from the rematch. And you know this from a rematch. He obviously won the first fight with Berman-Stavern, but the second fight, no matter how wide he swung, people said he looked sloppy. He looked off balance. Someone else could have capitalized on it, but he went out there and he did showmanship. And for
killer
one,
instinct.
I think exactly a killer instinct. It showed confidence, and I
did what he had to do
right now. He did he exceeded what he had to do. He had to go out there and knock out Berman-Stavern in that fight. That's without a doubt. Half the distance of a 12-round fight, 6 rounds or less, sure. But to do it in the first round and really in a case like this, and I have respect for all fighters, it's hard. It's going to be hard for Berman-Stavern to ever come back from that. It was a shame because he was clowned. He's a guy who's going to take whatever he made and he's going to hide away. I mean, and if he could come back from that and say, and say to himself and have a man up and say, you know what happened in that fight with Deontay Wilder, I'm going to come back bigger and better, fine. But I don't know one human being who can come back from such a drumming and a clowning that Deontay Wilder did, and I was impressed. And in my opinion, that was his. Even though it was only for 3 minutes, it was his most impressive performance to date.
What did you think? Do you think he should have called out Anthony Joshua?
Absolutely. It's a fight. Maybe it takes a year to make, Chant. I think it might take about a year to make. Let each guy have one more fight in between, and then sometime next year you got a blockbuster on your hands.
Well,
okay.
I think basically, and this is going back to your era. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Bermane Stiverne was probably the worst heavyweight title challenger since Kurt Johnson fought Vitaly Klitschko. Remember bloated Kurt Johnson? I mean, didn't train at all, gained like 70 pounds, from his last fight. Didn't care. Bermane Stiverne was there to get paid. I feel like it was a setup. I mean, the fight was almost a whole round. He didn't throw one punch. Lennox. He
didn't throw one punch. Not one punch.
Let me tell you, that was disappointing. He should have threw at least a couple.
Exactly. You're a former world champion, and you're trying to get your belt back that was taken from you. But I don't feel that he wanted it. I feel that he was in there to get paid. I'm not saying anything about the D word, taking a dive. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying he just was not in that fight. It was not really fair, in my opinion. And if Carlos Takam was in there against Deontay Wilder, there's no way in hell that he would have been blown out in one round.
All right, let me ask you a question. Would you like to see Deontay against somebody else, like Dylan White, just to see at least a couple of rounds of him actually boxing?
Yes, most definitely. I want to see him fight Carlos Takam. I think that'd be very interesting. Yeah. Takam is very tricky. He has that head movement. He kind of fights like an old school guy. He definitely knows his way around the ring, and I think that he could really pose some problems. I wouldn't say he'd beat Deontay Wilder, but I think it'd be a very, very good learning curve to get ready for Anthony Joshua, because right now, blowing out Bermane Stiverne that hasn't fought in 2 years, that, was very overweight, was not really willing to fight. I don't feel that's a learning curve to beat a guy like Anthony Joshua.
Right.
Anthony Joshua's fought much better competition, and he's more seasoned.
Do you think Deontay looks beatable right now?
I'm just going to put it like this. I think, it's just like the Olympics to me, Lennox. He's a bronze medalist, and Anthony Joshua is a gold medalist. And there's the big difference there. But I do feel that he's beatable. It depends on who he fights. Joseph Parker may give him a good fight. But that's the thing with Deontay Wilder. He does have that. He has. If you leave yourself open one time for that right hand, that's all she wrote. I will give him.
All right. Question. What's his weakness?
Deontay Wilder's weakness, for one, is I think he's overconfident at times. And I feel that he telegraphs that right hand very, very bad, and I feel that his movement is not all. He's not always on balance. And if you fight the right guy that's stepping on your foot, hitting you, being tricky with you, it could really pose a problem. I think it's just seasoning, but I think he's so confident he thinks that he don't have to learn anymore, and I think that could be a very, very bad problem for him. Every champion should be confident. You were very confident, Lennox, and you deserve it. You earned that. Confident. But sometimes there's a fine line, and I feel that he is kind of believing his own hype.
Do you think he's full of himself a little bit?
Most definitely. I do.
Well, punches change that. I think he's got remarkable quickness, though. I think the quickness and the athleticism that he has, is something to contend with. I don't think Joshua has that. I think Joshua's got a straighter right hand than him. I think Deontay moves well, and he moves well because he doesn't want to get hit. Who wants to get hit?
Right. So I think Joshua has more fluid. He's more fluid though. He kind of flows a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I think he still. I seen a video of you showing him how to jab. Lennox, do you recall what I'm talking about? And
I was watching yesterday.
Yeah, he's still. His arms are too wide when he punches, even though he's very long. But I think that's his weakness. He is not straightening up that right hand, or his 1-2s are his elbows are bulky when he's throwing them.
I want to tell you what, I think
see that and counter that.
There's other UK fighters out there that I think would pose major problems a little bit down the road as well. Daniel Dubois and I think Joe Joyce. Man, Joe Joyce has really impressed me.
Yeah, I think when it comes to punches and you're throwing hard punches, it's really who gets to the target first. And I've had my fights where, Oliver McCall, me and him were throwing right hands, and at that time I was knocking everybody out with my right hand. But he beat me to the right hand punch and put me down, and that the rest is history. So it's important to really learn the fundamentals and learning the biomechanic movements of boxing, so that your punches are straight and there's no hitch in your armor, because the other guy will take advantage of it, and you got to be mindful of that.
Lennox, you need to start training fighters. I wish you would. You got so much knowledge.
I look at myself as a professor because every one of my fights, I looked at tape and I said, I know how to beat this guy. I know what to do. That's why
exactly
any fight that I lost,
when you saw Michael Grant fight,
that I lost, I just came back.
When you saw Michael Grant, it was Michael Grant, but it was also Andrew Galata. You saw Andrew Galata in his last fight, and you wanted him so bad because you already figured him out, and then you knocked him out in one round after he fought Bo. I saw that.
I got to tell you the story behind that. Before my fights, my mother cooks my meals, and I like hot pepper, and Scotch bonnet peppers are my favorite peppers to eat because that just gets me angry. Anyway, she switched the peppers in that particular fight. So before the fight, and I'm in the dressing room, my stomach's rumbling, and I'm saying, Mom, what peppers did you use? She goes, oh, I couldn't find Scotch bonnet, so I used these other small little ones. I'm like, what? So she gave me some hot peppers that I wasn't used to, but when it hit my stomach, it was rumbling. So I went out there when I was steamed. So that really helped me knock out Andrew Galata. So not many people know that story about the peppers, but that's what it was.
They do now, Lennox. I'm amazed, my friend. Well, I'll tell you what. I know you got a lot going on, champ, and we really appreciate your time. We want to definitely have you back on the show. We have fun here.
Hey, Lennox, I just want to say one thing. Having you on tonight, we get to be fanboys. Like I said, man, the name of the show is ATG, man, all time greats, and you define that acronym ATG, bro. So
thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You allow us tonight to come on and be fanboys, because that's exactly what we are. But Lennox, right. I think we had to get the nervousness out of having you on the show, and you made us feel comfortable, man. I mean, our job is to make you feel comfortable, but we were nervous. Being big fans.
Thanks,
we'd love to have you back on, man. Even take a few minutes of your time. I'm going to hold you to that, champ. We got you recorded. This call is recorded for quality assurance.
Only if Frank gets to announce them every time. Only if Frank's can announce them.
Lennox, I got one question, Lennox.
Yeah, go on.
I got one question. Okay. How close were you and Riddick Bowe ever gonna fight professionally?
Let me tell you. You figure that if somebody beats you in the Olympics, that you're gonna meet them in pro. Well, Riddick Bowe was pro. He was also ahead of me in pro. He had a belt before me. When it came time to fight him again, he chose not to fight me. So I was wondering why he chose not to fight it, because we're all gladiators, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
He didn't win as an amateur, so he should have tried it as a pro. But that's why I adopted his new name, and it was called Chicken Bowe.
Man. well, Lennox, man, again, it was an honor having you on. We definitely want to have you back on. We have fun here, and you were a lot of fun, and I know the fans are enjoying you. Twitter's blowing up right now, and if they want to follow Lennox Lewis, it's not hard. He's a legend, at Lennox Lewis. Come on, I don't have to even announce that. But Lennox, again, we definitely want to have you back on.
Lennox, we're doing you a big favor right there. We're doing
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Lennox.
Take it easy, champ. We appreciate your time.
Have a great night, champ.
All right.
Thank you so much.